Hello everybody and welcome back to Farm Sim 25. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and welcome back to our Take Over the Map challenge here on Survival 4X. Tonight, we finally did it, y'all. Look at them all. Look at all the little piggies. Look at them all. They're so cute. I love them. Now, I ain't gonna lie. Probably wasn't my best choice. Look at them run! Ah! I love the pigs. I love them so much. But probably wasn't my best idea to buy young hogs right before winter. Probably should have bought them in the spring. But I couldn't wait to get them. So hopefully they'll all make it through the winter. They should be big enough that they can huddle together for warmth. If not, we got this nice little shed over here that we can bring them in during the winter time. I say as I can't seemingly open the door, but I mean, look at it. Look. Okay, apparently this doesn't open either. Sadness. But I'm sure it does. Oh, look. There's a hole in the fence. Look at them all, man. Look at all of them. God, I love them. They're so cute, man. We got our brown, I think they're Hampshire pigs. And then we've got our spotted pigs. We got our normal whitey pigs. Like, they're so cute, man. The only thing we don't have is the black ones. What are the black ones? Why don't we have black hogs in the game, huh? We only have 3 types of hogs in the game. Hello? Rude. You trying to take me for a ride, little one? Huh? Are you trying to take me for a ride? It's alright, though. I love you guys still the same. Anyway, like I was saying, we got hogs. Officially. Let me run over here. This is the easiest, I think, way to find the hogs. So, yeah. So, as you can see, we've got German landrace. Those are the white ones. Then we have the Bentheim black pied. The cute little spotted ones. And then we have the Berkshire. Why was I thinking Hampshire? Maybe Hampshires are the black ones. But these are Berkshire hogs. And they're brown. They're cute. Big old flappy ears. There's no one in the planet that can look at little pigs and say that they aren't the cutest on the planet. The only thing that even rivals a cute little pig is probably little goats. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys grew up on a farm with other animals and you guys will see little babies that rival them. But I'm telling you, piglets are some of the most adorable little things on the planet. They just are. And until they get out, and then you have to chase them down and pick them up while they're squealing and shaking like crazy, and you sound like you're just murdering them, and all you're doing is picking them up to put them back in their pen. Yeah. Or you can get a bucket of food and shake it, and they'll chase you. That works too. That's what you learn later on. But man, these things are so cute. Now, the one downside, or upside, depending on which way you look at it, is this fence apparently isn't real. Because all of our hogs aren't in the in the fence at all. They're out here, which is actually more akin to being realistic than you think. Hogs are notorious for getting out. But yeah, you can see back here in the back, we do have a little trigger here where we dump our straw. This is where we dump our straw, which they can use for bedding, which we can also accumulate because I put in a new area. Yeah, we now have a manure heap over here so that we can get manure from these hogs, as well as straw, or not straw, but slurry. So we get slurry, we get manure, and we also get hogs. Big, fat, juicy ham hogs. It's going to be beautiful. But we'll have to wait till they get nice and big and plump, and then we'll sell them off at auctions. And hopefully we make a killing. No pun intended. Y'all are going to make bacon. Just saying. I love you. You're adorable. But you taste too good to let stay. Anyway, we are going to move on. How can you make an adorable situation just absolutely murderous? The human way. That's how we do things. Anyway, it is officially December, which means we got a couple of things to do. We got to sell off our straw that we don't need, and we got to sell off our wheat. So I believe I already have my first truckload of wheat, ready to take into sell. So we're going to jump in the old truck, and we're going to head in there. We're going to do that. And then from there, we're going to come back and get a second load, and then we're going to leave a little bit of wheat in here. just in case we need to make a little bit extra food. I don't think we will need to, but we are going to, yeah, look at that. Look at that wheat. We have the best wheat in town. Look at it all. We have the only wheat in town, but, you know, that makes it the best. That's how that works. Process of elimination. You eliminate your competition, you are the best. Conversely, you are also the worst. But anyway, we're going to get this hauled into town. We're going to get this first load dropped off for sale. Make a boatload of cash. We got 2 full truckloads, I believe, and then that will leave also some left in the silos in case we need to make a little extra hog feed. But again, I don't think we'll need to, because our mixer, just on the first amount that we made, we filled up the corn, the soybeans, and the wheat in the mixer, and in one batch it made all of the pig food that it could make, which was pretty good. So I don't think that'll be a problem. I should probably get on the road, you know. But yeah. Anyway, once we get this wheat sold off, like I said, there's going to be a little bit of wheat that we're going to hold on to just in case. But then we're going to sell off the straw, which we have a ton of straw. And again, I know we're going to need some straw for the pigs, but I've already filled it up, so I don't think we'll need that much straw. So I'm leaving some in the silo for just in case. And then the rest will already be sold off, which we have quite a bit because we forgot to sell it last year. But yeah, let's go ahead and pull over the selling point, and let's offload our wheat. Now I'm hoping that we make a decent amount of money here. I forget exactly roughly what we should make, but it should be a decent chunk, and hopefully it'll get us enough money to buy our first piece of land that is over here near the city, because I think it's time that we start our industrial district. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am going to be building this town up. Okay, this town is relatively small to start with. So what we are going to do is we're going to build up the industrial district. Now, some might look at this and say this is industrial already. You've got a sawmill over there. You've got the animal barn. You got the farmers market. I'm calling this Old Town, and I'm gonna actually make our own little industrial district a little bit further away, because it's gonna have more factories, right? Whereas this is more commercial. You got a dairy, sure, that's a factory. You got the sawmill, that could be considered commercial or industrial. We need to go this way. There we go. But yeah, 35,000 plus 4,000. So yeah, we're making about $40,000 a tank. That's not bad. That's not too shabby, man. Again, wheat isn't a huge cash crop for us, but it does make enough money that we could potentially buy. I say potentially. We are absolutely going to be buying a new chunk of land today. So while we're waiting for this to unload, now might be a great time to actually look at farmland and see which one we're going to get. So again, I was thinking that this area over here could be our lake area, right? So I was thinking this area over here is kind of our industrial area. So that's kind of what I'm leaning for, is this spot right over here. Farmland 36. This area seems like it would be a perfect area for a nice little industrial park. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And obviously it'll be one of those industrial parks that expands over time based on the stuff that we're producing, right? So, like when we have a need to produce some sort of extra thing, whether it be onion rings or oil, that sort of thing, we're going to be able to do that. But I'm excited, man. I really am. I can't wait. But we are already at $261,000. We still got at least one more full truckload, because I'm pretty sure we had over 450,000 liters of wheat left in the thing when we started. And we just took, what is it, 176,000? So we should have at least one full truckload left, and maybe a truckload and a partial to get a little bit extra money. Because again, we don't need to save that much. I believe it only takes up to 60,000 liters of wheat into our mixer. And I didn't need to upgrade the mixer at all because it is able to produce so much so quickly that it doesn't need upgraded, which is nice. At least not right now. Maybe down the road when our hogs are getting fully matured and stuff. But I'm hoping that by the time they get big enough that they start eating a bunch, that they will actually be much more akin to being sold off at that point for a good profit. Now, I did hear some people tell me I should sell them younger because then you make a little bit more money per unit because you're not spending anything to like fatten them up. But we're not spending anything really to fatten them up anyway. We're producing all of our own feed. So it's relatively cheap for us, and the payout for having a full-grown hog is more than selling off, middling hogs. I don't remember what they're called. Is it jilted females? Because obviously we don't have a boar, right? We don't have any boars. So we either artificially inseminate our hogs to get more hogs, or we bring in a boar and do it the natural way, but we have to do it, we have to bring in a boar to do that. But of course, this game doesn't allow that, so one way or the other, we just got to assume that we artificially inseminate all of our hogs here at the farm. Or you guys can headcanon the fact that we hire a boar to come in and impregnate all of our females. Whichever. I'm not real big on either direction. Whatever you guys prefer. But yeah. How good does it feel to have a bunch of little piglets running around? I love it, man. I really do. I know they're not technically piglets. They're older than that. But they're still very young. We will have a bunch of little piglets real soon. Imagine that. I don't know if this game, like, works that way or not. But imagine if our female pigs can all have multiple pigs per reproduction cycle, which is how it works in real life. We would fill up our hog capacity in one birthing cycle. Just to put that into perspective. Because I think it holds 410 hogs. Yeah, we would totally fill out our capacity in like 1 year. Because we started with 60 hogs. I didn't say that earlier, but yeah, we have 60 of them. We have 20 of each breed. That way we constantly have a nice variety. And so as they reproduce, we should be able to sell them in groups of 20. Or in this case, groups of 60, but it'll be 20 of each breed. In theory. Because they should all come of age about the same time when it comes time. And then their babies will come of age at the same time, and then, so on and so forth. It does get a little bit awkward later on when you have babies from the first batch and babies from the second batch off schedule. But that's a problem for future me. All I know is we got another $80,000 plus coming in to the bank real soon. I turned that one a little bit too quick, I think. Let's calm it down. Jeez. Dude, this thing does not like it. This truck is great. But this truck and this trailer do not get along. And I blame the way that these, mud flaps are. I'll be real honest. I think it's the mud flaps' fault. But let's go ahead and open the front tank. Get some more feed in there. And like I said, I think I'm going to wait to see how much money we end up with first. And then we're going to decide on whether we go ahead and buy that or not. Now, I know there was a couple of people asking me recently, like, what our plans were in terms of expansion. And while I do think that we have the ability to continue to expand to the south, and I do want to do that, I want to get our industrial park started, because I think we're getting to that part of the series now where we're going to need to produce some good things. And this area down here is all going to be farmland. Like, this is almost all farmland down here. So we want to try to make the most of that. But we still also have some land up here that we can turn into farmland. Specifically this field, and then we're starting to get this field as well. But we're not quite there yet. I would like to get some more land around it so that we finish this whole field all at one time, rather than do what we've done in the past. But yeah, so I'm thinking we buy 36 today, and then we end up setting up our industrial park, or at least the start of our industrial park. But that also means that we got to start thinking about what is the very first thing that we're going to need to produce. And honestly, we're not quite there yet. We need an oil producing crop, because I would love to create some onion rings. Like, I want to turn our onions into onion rings, right? That's the other thing I need to look at. When do onions actually sell? Because right now we got a trailer full of onions. When do you sell? You sell in right now. Actually, you sell today. So we're selling our onions today too. Didn't realize today was the day, but it is. Okay, so that's good news. We'll have some more money to come in the bank. And then we have 128,000 liters left. I think we fill up one more front tank or something and bring over and sell that off. All right. Let's get this back over to the farm. And like I said, we got 125,000 liters left. So if we fill up one more full tank, that'll be like another $40,000 in the bank. And that leaves us plenty of wheat in there for the chickens and any sort of wheat we might need if we need to make some more feed, which I don't think we need to make any more hog feed for the time being. I forget exactly how much it made, but it was significant. It was a decent amount. And I was probably just in the time-saving stock check and could have looked, and I completely forgot. But we have plenty. And I believe I put all... Actually, it wouldn't be in there, because I put it all in the trailer. I bought an extra trailer, by the way. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I bought an extra trailer because one of the cool things about these Colossus trailers is you can actually... Let me go ahead and do that. You can actually use them to automatically feed your animals to each episode. So every time you log in, you would hook a tractor up to it, start it to dumping, and then it automatically feeds them as they use it, essentially, right? But we don't need to do that right now because they're not using enough feed to actually make that a thing. So we don't need to worry about that. So we're just going to get one more thing of straw here, or of wheat here. I don't know why I keep calling it straw. But that should leave us plenty of wheat in the silos for the chickens and any potential extra wheat that we need for the hogs for the time being. And then this will get us another $40,000 roughly in the bank. So no big deal there. And then, like I said, we got to grab our tractor, sell off our straw, and then grab our trailer full of onions and sell them off as well. Now, somebody did mention the other day that you can put onions in regular silos, but onions don't fit in our silo that we have, so I'm not sure which silos you're supposed to use for onions. I haven't seen anything directly mention onions, and everything that I've tried to store onions has not worked. And the fact that I can dump onions straight onto the ground, but I can't then put those onions into a building for storage is obnoxious. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I feel like if I'm able to dump them on the ground, I should be able to store them in a building. On the ground. Right? Like, it makes sense. But apparently the game does not think so. That would be too realistic. How dare you put your onions in a building? Just like potatoes, right? You got potato bunkers and stuff. But yeah, I haven't found anything that specifically mentions storing onions yet. So for now, we just put all of our onions directly into a trailer. And eventually we're going to have a factory, so it's not going to matter at all because we'll put all of our onions directly into the factory to be worked on. Or at least within reason. Alright. Last load of wheat for this season. I guess we could turn our lights on. It is kind of early morning. Plus the truck looks good with all the lights on. But yeah, we sold off a ton of wheat. Like I said, last year's harvest was our best harvest of wheat. I want to say it was 470,000 acres, or 470,000 acres. That would be a ton of wheat. Lord, how much wheat would you get off of 470,000 acres? That's crazy. But no, 470,000 liters of wheat, I think, is what we had. Somewhere in that neighborhood. But we were able to sell off 2 full truckloads and then a half a truckload. So that's not too shabby. And look at the money coming in, too. I mean, we've made a decent amount of money, too. Considering it's just wheat. We don't have a flour mill or anything. Like, we could... That's another thing we could create. We could eventually purchase a flour mill for our industrial park, which makes perfect sense. Like, if we've got extra wheat, why not turn it into flour? Everybody likes wheat flour. One of the other things I'd like to do on this series as well is come up with some sort of rice. Whether we do long grain rice or short grain rice, but I would like to get into some rice on this series as well. I know that it's going to be a whole process, but I'm thinking with our equipment, it makes sense to do the long grain rice. But I don't remember everything about rice. I've done rice, but I completely forgot how it's done. And I don't think I've ever done long grain rice. I think I've always done the short grain rice. So I don't remember exactly how the flooding works for long grain rice. I don't remember. I think you plant it, and then after you plant it, then you flood it. But that is all of the wheat that we need to haul in today. So I guess I turned the lights on for no real reason. Let's go ahead and park up the truck. And from here on out, the hauling gets done with a tractor. We already have the tractor hooked up to the straw wagon, so let's go ahead and jump in that. And it's already got the straw. No. Bad. Enter vehicle. I don't know why it doubled down there. But yeah, we've got 2.34 million liters of straw, and that still leaves us with 600,000 liters in the thing. So we've got plenty of straw. Might as well turn on our hazards or our beacons. Make sure everybody knows that we're coming. Probably need to pick up. That's what we'll have to do too. We'll have to pick up our. What do you call it? Goat milk. My brain isn't working today. Lord have mercy. But yeah, we'll get our Massey Ferguson to haul this into town. Also, I forgot. Road train time. I'm sure they're going to the same place. This is another beauty of these trailers, man. Look at that. Best driver in Farm Sim. No, not really, but still. Kind of impressive to do that first time, right? Why make 2 trips when you only need to make 1? Road train. The real question is now with the road train, are we going to be able to pull this thing up the hill? Surely we can. Old Massey Ferguson's never let me down. But we have 1.6 million liters of onions and 2.34 million liters of straw. Now, I'm sure that they both sell off in the farmer's market, so we are about to make an absolute killing. That being said, she is slowing down, as you'd expect. This is a heavy load. It's a heavy load. I'd hate to think of how much this weighs. I do like beacons, I just never use them in this game for some reason. And of course we have the realistic beacons here on... I think they have it on console as well. Just looks good, doesn't it? In the early morning sun. I don't even run any like extra shaders. This is just how this game looks. I know a lot of people run a lot of different shaders and stuff, and I've tried it, but I feel like the performance you give up for the shaders just isn't really worth it. For me, anyway. Maybe if you've got a really, really powerful PC, you can run the shaders and be okay. Now, I'm pretty sure everything is going to the farmer's market, so I think that we just run these straight up in here. The straw should get unloaded in this first section, though. And the onions might as well. Alright. Whoops. This should be instantly unload. Here we go. 111 plus 13, so 124 plus the 22. So we made roughly $127,000 in straw. And there's people that say that straw is not worth your time. That's 2 years worth of straw, but that's still worth your time. That's a decent chunk of money. Alright, let's go ahead and switch it back. Okay, this maybe goes into the other slot. Okay, it does. Alright, here we go. How much money are we going to make off of our first onion harvest? $477,600 plus 57,000. We made over $500,000 off of our onion field. What? We're over $1 million again, y'all. Holy crap. Onions are really good. We didn't even turn them into onion rings yet. How much money are we going to make off of them when we turn them into onion rings? Lord have mercy. Oh, we are making the money, y'all. Alright, well, looks like we're going to be buying some new land today. Because we have some expansion to do. Now, I want to buy the industrial district first. And then I want to place the industrial buildings first. And then we'll see how much money we have left in order to think about putting in another land expansion over there on the farming side of things for the time being. Also, one other thing I wanted to mention. Don't get it twisted, y'all. Just because we're doing all the farming now, I have big plans for this map. Like I said, over on our left, I want that area over there to be kind of our lake. I think that would be really cool to have a lake over there. And then I also thought maybe we could do like a like an oil well, because I do have like a mod that adds like oil pumps and all that stuff. I thought we could do that over on the other side of the map over there. I think that would really be cool. Maybe a mining area, have like an oil well with like a rock crusher and stuff like that nearby. But this is all stuff for future. I'm just thinking ahead. Like I said, I have plans. I just may not be the best at the game. And my plans, while they may not, they may be big plans now, I don't know how well I'm going to implement them. But given the fact of how I think this area has really filled out nicely over here, I think this is probably one of the better looking farms I've ever done. If you go back and look at any of my other farms, nothing has been this like cohesive. At least, I don't think so anyway. We're going to drop off the rear trailer here. This will be our onion trailer. So we'll keep it over here for the time being. And then we'll drop this trailer right up here because this is the trailer we use for our forage harvester. Alright. Let's put this thing away for the time being. Also, it looks like I'm going to have to do some preventative maintenance in the near future. Perfect. Anyway, it's time for us to go ahead and do some things. Now, the first thing that I'm thinking is that we go ahead and we build our oil mill that we're going to need. I'm going to have to look and see how much things are going to cost, right? Like, we need to buy the land first. All right, so let's buy the land. So like I said, 36 is kind of where I was thinking. Let's go ahead and buy that. This is the first piece of land that we're buying that is not directly attached to any other of our land. It's kind of awkward, but again, I'm building up this town in the center of the map, so this is part of that, right? So I'm thinking that this area, mostly this area right here, the backside of the town plus this area is kind of looking like where we want to put our industrial district, or at least that's what I'm thinking. But we have 792,000, and so the very first thing that we need to think about, we don't technically have anything that produces oil currently, but an oil mill, a flour mill, and a onion or vegetable processing plant or whatever it's called is the three things that we're going to need as soon as possible. So let's go into our construction menu and see roughly how much that's going to cost. So if we go down to factories, we are going to look... Oh, the other thing is we need to build up a power plant as well. And I was thinking of doing a power plant that has multiple forms of power. Not just a biogas plant, which we will be creating, but also I've also thought about putting windmills multiple times up here, which would be our own personal windmills, which we would make money off of. Obviously, we're going to make money off of everything because that's how this game works. You don't really get to put things down that don't earn you money. But anyway, I feel like we're going to be putting up a massive biogas plant. We're probably going to have the bakeries at some point, but again, that'll be part of the commercial district. But this is a grain mill. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, so this is like a tiny looking grain mill, to be perfectly honest. There's the oil mill. I do like this oil mill, even though it's a little bit on the smaller side. This is the area that we bought right over here, right? And we don't have to necessarily put everything directly on the road either. So we can kind of spread it out. We're going to have most of this whole area. Obviously, some of this we don't own yet. But eventually, we're going to own the entire map. But each individual factory will get its own unique, like, spot. You know what I mean? You're not going to have oil mill, flour mill, blah, 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 right next to each other, cluttering each other up, right? So I'm thinking this oil mill is probably what we're going to use for the oil mill. That's $240,000. But we need to look at... Does this do onions? I'm trying to remember which one does like the fried onions. Okay, these are the small factories. Then I think we get into the other stuff. Okay, so this is the little like onion packaging plant. A carpentry. A bakery. I like this bakery, I ain't gonna lie. So if I do end up doing a bakery, there's a good chance that I end up using, oh lordy, this like old school like cobble bakery. Obviously we're not doing that right now because we don't have all the stuff. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, see, we have a quarry, we have all that stuff. So eventually I would like to do that as well. But this vegetable processing plant right here is $440,000. And that turns onions into onion rings. How big is this? Let's get back up here. Okay, so it looks big, but it's actually not that big. Broth and kin, huh? But you can see that it takes oils, so I'm assuming that it makes onion rings by deep frying, right? That's how you make onion rings usually. So we're probably going to need that. But I haven't actually looked into the recipes or anything. So that's $440,000 we're going to have to do. A mason. Okay, pellet heat plant. Interesting. And here we're going to get into the oil pumps and stuff. So you can see we can do like a full-on oil refinery and everything. just kind of looking at what's here. Okay, here are our oil mills. We have a couple of those. Okay, this actually looks pretty cool. And so does this. I was looking for a different type of, Okay, we have a distribution center as well. We have a bunch of different local restaurants and such. Okay, Dry Productions. Okay, this windmill, I think, makes flour. It doesn't say flour, but I mean, it's got grains going in, and I would assume that it turns it into flour. Okay, and that's it. All right. I don't think we're going to use that windmill. I think for a flour plant, I think we end up using just a regular grain. Yeah, I mean, the grain mill looks exactly the same as the modded version. At least it does, at least it appears to. Because, yeah, right here. This one's just really cheap for some reason. Which seems broken. So, I'm going to use the base game flour mill. Or grain mill, whatever you want to call it. Cereal factory. But I think that takes multiple inputs to make a cereal. So yeah, I think we need an oil plant and a grain mill. So I'm thinking that we put this I feel like it would face the main road, so maybe like right here. And then we can... This ground over here is relatively flat, so we don't have to worry about like leveling it right off the bat. And then, of course, the oil mill. Now, there was the oil mill that was down here, I think. That was a large grape processing plant. Yeah, this oil mill here. I actually like the look of this one better. It fits more with the area. And given the size of it, I feel like it would be a little bit further back. Or maybe it would be on this side. Yeah, maybe we can, since it's older, it would have like a little bit further back, something like right in here, I think. There we go. All right, so that leaves us $424,000. Obviously, I need to go ahead and make the gravel connections and everything. This road here needs to be upgraded to at least gravel. Because it is now officially worked on. trying to think. So we've got the grain flour mill. We've got an oil mill. What was the other thing? The other thing was costing like $400,000 for the vegetable processing plant, right? So we're not quite ready for that yet. So I think that's good for now. Let's go ahead and just do the rest. Now, you guys told me that you guys wanted to see me do this stuff, so that's why I'm showing it rather than like time-lapsing and everything. But we go ahead and this is where I get to utilize keyboard and mouse a little bit. All right. And then, just to kind of be a little bit more realistic, you're going to have probably something like that. Because you're going to have trucks coming in and out of this area, right? So, wide right turns and all that stuff. So, you want to kind of open that up. And since that's the main highway, or will eventually be the main highway, that's kind of what my thought process is there. As far as the rest go, we are going to go ahead and smooth out the areas around these. Again, it's relatively flat, so it doesn't need a lot of crazy terraforming. But it's always a good thing to go through and just kind of make it look like it appears to fit. Alright, and now the next part, we're going to bring out the gravel. I just love the gravel in this game. But, we are going to then actually drop that down just a little bit. We want to bring this straight in here. And then give ourselves plenty of room for driving in and out. And then the same thing over here. So we are going to treat this area here as kind of a separate area from this. So this is going to be the truck entrance, which makes the most sense, right? Truck entrance would then come around the back. And then it would have a separate exit, and we'll have an exit straight to the main road. All right, and now this area over here, we are going to also put gravel in. It's just going to be treated as a different area. So we're actually going to scale this thing down a little bit, and then we will have a separate entrance right about here. Obviously, this would be for local delivery / workers and so on and so forth, so it doesn't need to be as crazy. All right. Honestly, doesn't look too bad. Now, the only thing we got left is to put up some fencing. So let's go ahead and do that. We need fencing. And obviously these are going to be more industrial sort of fencing. This is a more modern building, so I could see it having just like a metal mesh sort of deal. We'll just bring this over. actually. I better give myself plenty of room. Because looking at that, I'm kind of feeling like I may have not given myself enough room there. So I might expand that. Let's go from here. There we go. And then I'm actually just going to go ahead and go to the other side and think about how we're going to do the fencing here. Now, this is a more of an old school style fence, or an old school style building. So we're going to go with more of an old school style fence. The brick looks pretty good, or wood. Some sort of cobble maybe, or wood. Honestly, this looks pretty good. I think we go with this. All right, so how are we going to do this? This is actually going to be a much more, like, involved sort of deal. All right, so if we switch... Oh, that's so tiny. Yeah, I think I like being able to add like the gates, but I also am not all that thrilled with the size of the gates. So we are going to add this fence back in. Give our trucks plenty of room. Let's bring it something like this. And then we'll bring this straight across. Is there a way to snap? There we go. Okay, I feel like that's pretty solid. I just got to figure out where we're going to end it, and I think that's actually kind of perfect. So we'll just go from there. Bring this straight over. We had it a little bit back from the initial spot. And then we'll do the same thing here. Perfect. All right. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is figure out exactly what we're going to do. Because this is kind of like its own... Like, this whole thing is just feeling like its own little build, right? So, I'm thinking we go with some grass. Let me get in here. We want to go to painting. Let's go with the short grass. Somehow I managed to fly all the way back across the map. All right. So now we've got the short grass. And we are going to... was really hoping that this would get rid of some of that. I guess one way I could do it, you know what? Let's just do it that way. Let's go into painting. Really doesn't matter how we do this. But if we turn this up, basically, we're going to fix this after the fact. Don't worry. I'm just doing this to kind of make it easy on us for putting in our yard. I have a freaking mouse attached. And a keyboard. And yet I still did that with a controller because of reasons. I'm stubborn. Okay. So now let's take this area that we just filled in and let's turn it back into grass. Shall we? Alright, so this area through here should be... Oh wait, we gotta paint it grass first. Hold. Hold. Alright. So now we're talking. Let's go for... something like... something like that. This area along here. So right, I think that's most of the grass. I want to put in a little bit more gravel. Right here on these side doors. You just basically want to run this right down through here. All right. Perfect. All right, so now we can put in our grass. This area here probably be first. Perfect. Okay. Now, and now the rest just gets filled in. Now, what you may be thinking is, Spartan, why are you spending so much time putting like all this effort into a flour mill, and then you've got the oil mill, and yet over here the flour mill just kind of got thrown in there? Well, I'm not done with the flour mill yet, but the difference is this is essentially like a community staple, right? This is a place that's been around for as long as people can remember, and thus they've had time to build up their area. You know what I mean? So they're more of a staple of the city, rather like this was here predating the main city, right? Whereas this would be more of a modern addition. So I feel like if you've ever seen any of these like small town, like in the middle of nowhere, they have these old businesses like this. For me, I live in New Lexington. We have a place called Ludovici Tile Plant, right? Um, it's not in town. It's on the edge of town, but it's kind of the same deal. But of course, it's advertising all of its stuff that it makes too. So you've got like these really ornate like uh, uh, brick walls and the ceramic tiles and stuff. Like it's what they do. So they're advertising their own thing, and I kind of feel like this would be similar, just in the terms of the feel of the place. But anyway, we're not done yet. Well, I say we're not done yet, and the game is like, yes, you are. You're done. Stop spending money. No. Where am I at? Okay, that's the town. Okay, so we need to put in some trees. So let's do that. I feel like a couple of nice trees would go a long ways. I feel like for this first area, like I don't ever use these type of trees. I feel like maybe we put... I just don't know how this tree is going to look, to be perfectly honest. But maybe we'll put that one over there. And then we'll switch over. We've got a large box elder tree. Again, just kind of put it over here. Large cherry tree. Okay, that's an actual cherry tree. Chinese elm doesn't make sense here. Japanese Zelkova, not so much. Northern Catalpa. That's what we want right here. I love the Northern Catalpa in this game. It's a beautiful flowering tree too, so like it's gonna be perfect. And then we need some sort of like, I feel like this would also have some sort of like hedging or something along here. Or, God bless it, I hit the button one too many times! And it keeps transporting me all the way across the map. I also don't want to make it too busy, you know? Sometimes you can over-decorate something. So maybe just call it there. That should be fine. Put a couple of trees in there to kind of make it look nice. It's out of the way. The other thing we are going to need, though, is we need some staff, like, break area, right? So we'll put in some, like, picnic tables and stuff. If we can find them. How tall is this? I kind of like it. But it looks a little short. Okay, man, we have a lot of stuff to choose from. There's a lot of houses and stuff I've installed just because I want to do like a residential area eventually. So I wanted to have some variety. But what I'm actually looking for is like picnic tables and stuff. Alright, let's actually, you can kind of put this right up against the wall here. There we go. It's got its own mailbox. And then, like I said, just keeping with the fact that this is more of a modern industrial, it'll probably just get like a regular modern. I feel like this would even be black if we can customize it. Turn the color. And then we would put that right there. Alright. Perfect. Alright, now what we will do is we will also keep looking for our picnic tables and stuff, which I know I have. There we go. There's our picnic tables. So yeah, we'll assume that this is like a staff exit to like a break area. So we'll just put a couple of these out here. And then we can then go ahead and put... the grass is actually... No, because this would be gravel most likely, so we'll go ahead and put some gravel in there. Just kind of do one of these numbers. There we go. Kind of crazy how they got all these, like, opening sides of the thing or whatever. I guess back in the day, you just open the side of the building and then crane or winch it up in there or something. All right. Some sort of lighting would probably be a good idea. Doesn't need to be anything too crazy. Something like this probably work. Rotate that. Maybe put it there. That seems fine. As far as the rest of the lighting, I feel like there would be some sort of flood lighting out here. So let's try to make that happen. This is usually stuff you'd want to do at nighttime so that you could actually see what you're doing. Hmm. I haven't had a lot of luck with these, like, wall hanging lights. They don't like to stick to the walls. How's this look? Oh my god, that is freaking huge. It's a little bit too huge. Let's go with small floodlight. That looks a little bit more normal. Still massive. Quadruple floodlight, that's just all directions. We don't want that. Dude, I feel like this is too big. That's what she said, but still. I feel like it's massive. It's alright, though. Should do a good job of lighting the area up. I say as it doesn't place because I didn't have the... There we go. Alright, now what that should do is it should light this area up for offloading at night and stuff, and then also it should spread some of the light out this direction to light up the back. So, that should be plenty of light for this area. I feel like this place probably gets something a little bit smaller. A lot of street lights. We're going to squeeze this right in here. As if it's mounted to the building. Look at that. There we go. Everything else, I don't think we really need... you'd probably have something back here too, so maybe we'll do the same thing back here in the back. See if we can... Can't tell if that's a light or not. I mean, we got security cameras. Maybe we can... You're not gonna let me do it, are you? You little turd. Alright, well, fair enough. Can always rotate it. There we go. There we go. So we have a little bit of lighting in our offload and inload, or intake and offload areas. Let's go ahead and finish up this area by getting rid of the nasty grass. I'm realizing at this moment that I kind of broke one of my rules with this build today. But I don't think you guys will mind too much. Hopefully. You know what, let's just... Alright, so in terms of grass, we are going to put in some grass, but it's going to mostly be on the outside of the fence here. So we'll have like this area here, and then obviously this area here. Then we'll bring for future reference, I don't think I necessarily need to paint it with gravel first. I think I can just paint the grass. Yeah, it gets rid of the ugly weeds too. Perfect. Alright, so then we want to maintain this. This is a curve. So we would bring this over. All right. Now we just put in our grass. Okay, let's go up here. Now the reason we're using the shorter grass is because this isn't an area that the companies would be required to hire somebody to come in and maintain this. If you've never actually worked in like in an industrial area or anything like that, like the companies that own the property are required to maintain their property a specific way so that it's not unkempt or unsightly, depending on who you ask. Perfect. I say as I look at a giant bald spot. There we go. All right. I think this actually turned out really nice. I say as I, once again, just fly away from it. God bless America. Let me teleport across the map. We'll visit it on foot. Look at this. So like I said, this would be acting as sort of a, you know, an employee entrance sort of deal. This would be like a parking lot, potentially, right here for the few employees. We've got a break area outside with some old picnic tables. We've got a nice little light area for the third shifters, right? Of course, you come in that direction, you leave this direction. And then, of course, across the street, we have the complete opposite. We have a more modern facility. So you just got this industrial look with obviously cut grass. So you've got that going for you at least. You got some decent cut grass. But overall, I'm pretty happy that we hit our aesthetic the way we wanted. This definitely feels like a more modern, like just industrial area that's just minimalistic, just get it in, get it done. Whereas this feels more cozy, more built into the town, you know what I mean? I like it a lot. I ain't gonna lie. I think this turned out really nice. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.